what are you going to learn in this video? In this video, you're going to learn how to express your preferences. In other words, your likes and dislikes. How does this apply to IELTS speaking? Many different speaking Part 1 questions ask for your opinions of many different subjects. For example, do you like cooking? Do you like rainy days? Do you prefer listening to recorded music or going to concerts? Is there anything you dislike about your current home? By the end of this unit, you'll know how to use a wide variety of phrases to express your preferences correctly and honestly. Before you begin, don't forget your very first organizer. You'll need Unit 1, Your Preferences. It's attached as a PDF resource below. You can also print it out and write on it by hand, or use the digital PDF version to type the target language into the spaces. It's empty now, obviously, but step by step, together, we'll fill in the whole table with great vocabulary and expressions, explore their meanings, how and when native speakers use them, and how you can use them in your IELTS exam. So please prepare that now, and when you're ready, I'll see you in the next video. We'll start by looking at some closed answers. When we introduce new target language, we'll always start by looking at some example IELTS speaking answers. So look at the first words of these IELTS speaking answers. Do they mean yes or no? Number 1. Do you like wearing jewellery? Not really. I'm not really into shopping at all, to be honest. Number 2. Is there anything you dislike about your current home? Sure. I wish our kitchen was bigger. Number 3. Do you like rainy days? No, not at all. Wet and rainy weather makes me miserable. Number 4. Do you like to learn about history? Absolutely. It was my favourite subject at school. Number 5. Do you like sports? Definitely. I'm a big fan of football. So that should be an easy start. Here are the answers. The words for yes were definitely, absolutely, and sure. The answers for no were not really and not at all. Now, if you look at your organizer, there's a column on the far left called Closed Answers. You can also see that there is a yes, an arrow, and then no. At the top of the column is a strong yes. Middle is neutral, and the bottom is a strong no. On this scale, where do you think you should write the following phrases? Not really, not at all, absolutely, sure, and definitely. So here's how I've written them on my organizer. The words for yes or strong yes were definitely, absolutely, then sure, not really, and not at all. So as you can see from their position in the organizer, definitely and absolutely are very strong yes answers, while not at all is a strong no. The other phrases are much more neutral. In your IELTS test, choose the word or phrase to be as honest and as accurate as possible about your preferences. Congratulations! You're about to write your first set of target language into your organizer, the first of many. Take a moment, pause the video if you need to, and write the target language in the same way as my organizer here. When you're done, you can move on to the next video and we'll keep going. Next, we'll look at preference phrases. Obviously, in IELTS speaking, your answers should be a little bit longer than those last examples, so we're going to start adding more language to the organizer to help you share your preferences more extensively. So here are some IELTS speaking sentences. Which phrases show likes and which ones show dislikes? Number 1. I can't stand coming home soaking wet and having to dry all my clothes. 2. I'm not a big fan of olives, actually. I don't know why. 3. I'm quite interested in the history of the Americas at the moment. 4. My partner is really into cooking these days. 5. I don't mind listening to pop music if it's on the radio, but it's not my favourite genre. 6. My nephew likes monkeys. He shows me videos about them on YouTube all the time. So which phrases show likes and which ones show dislikes? The likes phrases were I'm quite interested in, is really into, and just likes. The dislike phrases were I can't stand, I'm not a big fan of, and I don't mind. So that gives us some more target language. And let's organize it and put it in your organizer. You can see another scale along the top of the page with a stronger like on the left to a stronger dislike on the right. So here are the answers as I've written them in my organizer. So take a moment to add that target language section in the same places as you can see. Afterwards, we'll discuss the grammar and important differences between the phrases. So here are the same sentences from a moment ago. Look at the words after the phrases. Do you notice a pattern in the grammar? 1. I can't stand coming home soaking wet and having to dry all my clothes. 2. I'm not a big fan of olives, actually. I don't know why. 3. I'm quite interested in the history of the Americas at the moment. 4. My partner is really into cooking these days. 5. I don't mind listening to pop music if it's on the radio, but it's not my favourite genre. 6. My nephew likes monkeys. He shows me videos about them on YouTube all the time. So after each of the preference phrases, there's either a noun, for example, olives, the history of the Americas, monkeys, or a gerund, coming home, having to, cooking, or listening. The good news is that this grammar rules applies to all the target language phrases. This means that you can say, I can't stand rock music with a noun, or I can't stand listening to rock music with a gerund, or my friends and I like football, my friends and I like playing or watching football. To me, the gerund focuses more on the action. The experience of listening to rock music is fun. The noise, the guitar solos, the emotions, the dancing, the stress relief. The playing of football is fun. Kicking the ball, running, the teamwork, the exercise, the satisfaction of scoring, and so on. So, in the grammar box, take a moment to add noun or gerund under the word grammar. Now, just like this. If you're thinking about adding any other examples in each box, please wait for the moment until we look at the next part. You'll see why this is important very soon. This next video is about context. Even though all of our preference phrases follow the same grammar rules, followed by a gerund or a noun, they're not all interchangeable. In other words, there are times when I'll choose I'm a fan of, and other times where I'll say I'm interested in. This knowledge is actually called awareness of style, and it's a part of your IELTS vocabulary criteria. This means that your vocabulary must not only be used correctly, but appropriately within the right context. As you can see, another part of your organizer is actually called context, so let's look at it now. Let's compare three specific phrases. I'm interested in, I'm into, I'm a fan of. Here are three contexts. Can you match the sentences with the context? A is leisure activities, hobbies and things you like to do. B is academic and educational topics. C is music, books, films, food, sports, animals, and things that you watch and enjoy. So here are the answers. I'm interested in is used with academic and educational topics. I'm into is used with leisure activities, hobbies, and things you like to do. And I'm interested in covers music, books, films, food, sports, animals, and things you like to watch and enjoy. Having this awareness of style over your English really does improve your IELTS score. And at the same time, using these phrases in the wrong combination could sound strange to a native speaker. So knowing the right context of a phrase helps you use it correctly and appropriately. I only chose those 3 phrases because the other ones, I like, I don't mind, and I can't stand, can be used in any context, from pop music to ancient history. So in your organizer, you can take a moment now to add these phrases to the context box on your organizer. And after you've done that, now in the grammar row, you can add any examples of things that you like and dislike because you know the right context. Remember to put the appropriate subject with the appropriate phrase. You can see some of the ones that I've chosen here. Okay, so you've already added quite a lot of new target language to your organizer. To show you the power that you already have now, I've made a short video called an answer analysis, where I use the same target language as our organizer to answer real IELTS speaking questions. These videos show you how you can use the exact same language in your real IELTS speaking test. Seeing and hearing any new words or grammar is only one very small step of actually using it in your real IELTS speaking test. So genuinely making this new target language part of your active vocabulary means you need to review and complete exercises on the same language multiple times. To help you with that, I've created homework assignments through each unit of the course. These assignments are usually practice activities with the same target language you should have in your organizer already. Some will be about grammar and some are about vocabulary. On some occasions, I will introduce new target language in the homework assignments, so it's important to complete these activities so you have a full and complete organizer by the end. In this case, there are 2 more assignments which have new grammar for your organizer. They are negatives and emphasis. In this unit, you will need to do these activities to finish your organizer. Good luck and see you in the next video. Welcome to the first answer analysis video about your preferences. Question 1. Do you like cold weather? Not at all. I can't stand cold weather, to be honest, because I don't like having cold feet or numb hands because it just makes everything more difficult. Sometimes it gets so cold here I start shivering, and after about 10 minutes my whole body is sore and tired, so I really can't stand it. In this answer, we see several familiar rules. I can't stand cold weather. I don't like having cold feet or numb hands. The preference phrases are followed by a noun, I can't stand cold weather, or they're followed by a gerund, I don't like having cold feet or numb hands. We also see a version of I can't stand with more stress. I really can't stand it. In the emphasis homework assignment, you'll remember this is the strongest way that you can say you really, really don't like something. Question 2. Do you like to cook at home? I don't mind cooking. I'm not very good at it, but I can make a few nice and simple dishes like spaghetti carbonara and some kinds of typical British stews. My wife is much more into cooking than I am, so I only cook when she's too busy or not at home. There are 2 preference phrases in this answer. I don't mind cooking. My wife is much more into cooking. Again, you can see they're both followed by gerunds, cooking. There's also a new version of I'm into. I'm comparing my wife and myself. My wife is much more into cooking than I am. More goes between is and into. Is much more into. I think the difference is big. In English, I can't say very more, I have to say much more. So, is much more. You can also make other preference phrases stronger like this. My wife is much more into cooking than I am. He is much more interested in history than I am. She is a much bigger fan of rock music than I am. Question 3. Do you like to take photographs? Definitely. I usually take photos of nice things I see, like sunsets, the beach, or beautiful looking food in a restaurant. I also quite like taking photos of fun moments with my friends, especially selfies, which I often post on social media. Here we see the word like, but with two meanings. First, I quite like taking photos of my friends. This means I enjoy it, I enjoy taking photos. And second, I usually take photos of nice things I see, like the sunset, the beach, or beautiful looking food. Here, like means for example or for instance. It's a casual way to give an example or list 2 or 3 examples. Some students ask if this is too casual for IELTS, and the answer is no. It's completely acceptable, and it's not slang or bad English. Like is just the right word for the right job. Question 4. Do you like seeing animals in the zoo? Sure. There's a really nice zoo here with loads of exotic animals, so I like going there with my young nephew and looking at all the animals with him. He's a huge fan of monkeys, and there are lots of different ones at the zoo, so he really likes going to see them. Did you notice a difference in the context section of your organizer under I'm a fan of? Did you see there's animals? I'm talking about monkeys, so it's still appropriate to use here, but another feeling we get from huge fan of is something quite childish. Because my nephew is young, I'll say he's a huge fan of monkeys because he is a very excited young kid with lots of energy and passion. Many kids are the same, so if you talk about a young person, he or she is a big fan of is perfect for anything. If my nephew was older, maybe a teenager, 16 or 17, I wouldn't use this because it makes him sound immature or too young, like a young kid. And that's it. 4 answers using lots of the target language you already have in your organizer. Hopefully, you can now see how you can share your ideas in your answers with these phrases. We'll add more to the organizer in the next videos, and I will see you there.